Daniel asks, how do you deal with tenants wanting to change something on the house or garden, like repairing or extending things to fit their own needs better? Anything should have your prior written approval. If somebody wants to build a nice deck on your house, if you have a shitty deck and they want to spend $15,000 of their own money to build you a nicer deck, I'd love to have a tenant like that. So we're not going to renegotiate anything in the contract, but if they want to make it, any repair, any so-called repair or so-called improvement, you have to sign off on that. You need that in writing. Let them pay the bill if they want to make an improvement to your property. But if they try to do something themselves, it's probably not an improvement. They're probably going to do something half-assed, and maybe it's going to devalue the property, and you don't want them to do that ever. So they don't have permission to change anything or do anything without your written approval. And if they do want to do something, use a contractor maybe that Tell them, hey, I'm okay with this. If you want to build something, if you want to build this deck, you want to do some landscaping project and make the yard look better. That's a person showing commitment that they probably want to live there for a long time. So if they're willing to invest their money, and they're making essentially they're making a psychological and financial commitment as well, that they'd like to live there for a period of time. Say, you know what, if you want to do that, I'm not taking a penny away from the rent, but maybe the future rent, maybe we don't do a rent increase for a year or two.
Yes.
So give them something that they can feel good about it. Say, hey, if you, or tie it to a lease. Hey, if you want to change something on the property, I want you to sign like a 3-year lease then instead of a 1-year lease. 3-year renewal, 5-year renewal instead of a 1-year renewal. And if they're serious about it, then great.
Yes.
And if not, then, but I think a great idea if you used your contractor that that you trust, because you get some random person in there, there's no telling what the they'll do. There's no telling what they'll do. So you say, hey, we're going to use my contractor. We can do the thing that you're talking about. We can't do this. We can't do that. We can do all these other things, but we're going to use my contractor because I know he's not going to f things up here. And if you want to use my contractor to get this done, great. And if not, don't worry about it. Leave it just like it is. Don't touch a thing without my written consent. So that has to be clear in a lease agreement that they can't be making substantial repairs or modifications without your written approval. And use your contractor. Give them something for it. But I wouldn't even reduce the rent. I just say, all right, if you want to make those improvements, sign a 3-year lease, and we won't increase the rent for those 2 years. Year number 2, year number 3, same rent. Because if you want to be here for that time and you want to make something a little nicer, okay. So give them a concession like that, yeah. Matthew, you always say nice things, but this is so long, I'm hesitant to read it. Matthew says, Derek, Gilbert, and Mikey, thank you for sharing your time with us. When looking to get work done, referrals from people that are trusted or more people we've worked with previously are important. If a key contractor is occupied with a different project, what are your thoughts on deferring a purchase or project versus taking a risk on an unknown contractor? Thank you for your thoughts. I look forward to seeing you here in a week and a half. And after that, thank you for your advice about lifting from the boot camp. I've been doing exercise daily. After the initial pain, it's easier to push through it the next day instead of waiting for the pain to subside. It is. Like children need to take a break. A child, spends its day crying and shitting on itself and, it gets exhausted and needs to take a nap. But if you're a man, you're supposed to be a little uncomfortable and get shit done and not cry about it either. And so you just go do man shit every day, and you have a deeper reservoir to do even more man shit in the future. Regarding your question on, I like to work with the same people. So I like to work with I got a lot of coaches, but I like the same ones to come back. I'm pretty loyal to people that are good to me, and I probably would not do the project. I would have a couple guys that I'd want to work with, but I like very high level outcomes. So I probably want to work with my guys, not some new guy. And I'm probably going to schedule with them. And, when I want to schedule something with somebody, a lot of times people will clear their schedule for me. I don't say that in a cocky way, but it's true that, if I call or ask them, say, hey, I know you're busy, but we've done a lot of things in the past. We're going to do a lot of things in the future. Right now, I need your help with this thing. Can you change your schedule, bump that other person, have them, do that other project some other time. Tell them you need a couple months. Come do this for me instead. And a lot of times they will. If they're in the middle of the project, they're going to finish a project, but I'll be the next project, So a lot of people will do that. When I see somebody that's very talented, I've hired people away from other, they've been subcontractors elsewhere, or they worked for different businesses where, you bought cabinets for here, or you bought some other material someplace else, and the installer comes and they do an excellent job. And I say, hey, why don't you quit your job and come work with me for the next couple of years? I got to put a lot of projects for you. Stop what you're doing and come over here. And then they laugh, and then they realize I'm not laughing. And then usually they do. So usually they do what I ask them to do, because I wouldn't ask them if it wasn't going to be a good thing for everybody. So I like to have the same people. You guys have been watching me on construction, and I don't want to talk about every detail of the property location or something like that. But what do you observe on the construction site when you see me talk with the men?
I know that you know exactly what you want. That's the first thing, and then you know how to give the orders. You're very objective. I saw the difference from yesterday, from today was a whole different. These guys were giving like kind of a little bit of lazy job, and then whenever you went there and talked to him, wanted stuff to get done. Everybody like today when I got there, and the construction was different level. Like wow, these guys were literally slowing down. So, and then what I learned from you was I gotta have at least an idea of every price or everything, because those guys in construction, they're gonna rip you off. That's what they did with me. And then whenever I saw you in the construction, kind of okay, I gotta understand more. I need to have a better understanding of what everything costs. I don't need to do everything. And another thing too, I'm not a handyman at all. I cannot do a lot of things. I can grapple, I can beat people up, I can do striking, but
that's a good skill.
Yeah, but I'm not a handyman. So, but now I need to have at least an understanding to see how much that costs to build that, or how long it takes you to build that. Oh, okay, how hard it is. Oh, okay. And they have an understanding of everything. That's what Derek does. Whenever I was there in the construction today and yesterday and the day before, he was just like getting everything done, all the little things, and knowing how to do it and telling exactly. So it's very hard to a contractor or any other guy try to rip him off, because the guy know that know what he's talking about. So I think that was my best learning this week, was just be around and say, oh, okay, I need to understand that a little bit more. Okay, whenever go there, I'll buy it, I'll go with you to see it. Especially nowadays, it's easy. You just Google everything, you know the price of everything. So, and if you know the cost, it's gonna be hard. But on the whole construction side, you need to know a lot more than I think I know, than you think you know. We need to have way better understanding of everything.
What do you see happening when I talk with the men or managing that project?
Yeah, so pretty much what Gilbert said is spot on. The biggest thing I learned when I went to the construction site with Derek, he already has in his mind where everything is going to be and what everything is going to be. So he has this picture in his mind. And then every spot and every detail he's completely on top of with the construction. And he knows multiple methods of how they could do it. And he knows the best method. And I think that way construction can never rip him off. He knows how much each thing costs. So he knows construction can't rip him off. And I think when the construction people feel that how intelligent Derek is with knowing every detail and everything that's happening, they're like, holy crap, like we're not messing with this guy, And they know that the second they do and the second they're off with something, Derek is on top of them and that's it for them, So I think that attention to detail and knowledge that Derek has, and also just a bigger picture in his mind, what he wants, not what they tell him what to do. He already knows what he wants, and he's instructing them to do what he wants. I think that's the biggest thing I learned.
Yeah, I don't use architects. I don't use designers. I see the thing, and I make the thing. And that's a different talent, If your brain doesn't do that, maybe you don't know what you want, and maybe you want to talk to some interior designer. So, you find some gay guy to hang out with for 6 months and, talk about how does this make me feel? what is the, you know, the vibration of the stone or the vibration of this color fabric versus some other shit. So you could go do that for a while, and, you know, there'll be some, you know, lonely woman or gay guy that'll be happy to talk to you, and you're going to charge you a couple $100,000 to be your designer for a big project. But they'll spend the time with you and talk about all of that shit. Or then you go to an architect, so you take that, you go, after you get done talking about your feelings, then you go talk to the architect, and the architect will draw up every little thing and say, you know, the faucet height is going to be at, you know, 36 1/8 inches from the floor, and it's going to be perfectly centered on the thing, 7 1/4 inches from each side, and you have every little detail written down there. Now, when you go to the job site in real life, the thing that's on that paper, that's not what happened in real life, because in real life the floor is wavy, the wall's not quite level. So what's on that architectural drawing is never what's going to happen in real life. But the architect, he'll let you pay him for 6 months. To say, oh, the thing's supposed to be exactly here. Well, that's not how the building is built. That's not how the floor is in real life. It's not how. That's a sketch of you know, how you wish things were, but it's not reality. And then a contractor, he'll slow things down because the architect said do it like this, and the contractor said, well, I can't do it like that because that's not how it is. And if the contractor gets away from the architectural plan, then it's his fault. So now he's got to stop and talk to the homeowner and talk to the architect and say, hey, this is, you know, the thing that you drew here, that's not reality. And then they got to go back. So the amount of time that gets wasted, you might spend 15 months talking to the designer, talking to the architect on a real project. If you're building, say, a $5 million, $10 million house, you might spend, you know, 15 months, 18 months. Nothing happened yet.
The guy from HOA said the construction is from a small hand supposed to be done by August, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's doing it right.
Yeah, so projects are, you know, there's a project I was talking about with a friend of sorts yesterday. He said, yeah, there's projects that they're 4 months past due. They're supposed to be done 4 months ago, and they're still working on them. It's going to be, you know, more months to fix things. So that's how those things happen. That's how that shit happens. Is, you know, now you got your designer, now you got your architect. The gay guy's mad at you because you didn't follow. You talked about your emotions with him for 6 months, and then you didn't follow the plan, and the architect told you to do something else. So now that person's emotional, and they're upset with you, and you destroyed their art that you created together. There's all this crazy shit that happens. This is true. I'm not even making jokes. This is true. This is true. This is how it is. So if you don't know what you want, then, you know, okay, you can go spend, you know, $300,000 for paying the designer, paying the architect, $300,000, $400,000 on a house that maybe costs $5 to $10 million. And, you know, it'll slow you down a year and a half, year and a quarter, year and a half, cost you a lot of money. But if you do know what you want, you know, I don't need those people to help me. I know, and I know how things are going to fit, and I know reality versus the plan. So I got to go check up on reality. We got to have a shared reality together. I got to go to this place. I got to see how reality is. We got to talk about it and say, hey, I think we could do this and that. What do you see? And we got to go back and forth a little bit. And now then we implement the new plan, and a little bit of change and a little bit of change to deal with reality. But everything turns out beautiful in the end. So yeah, you have to do. You'll figure it out, you know. But I like to work with the same contractors because, you know, it's a whole new learning process for both of us. I got to learn how that guy is. He's got a big family that he's going to be missing a lot of days? Is he going to sign a contract that he's going to do something, but then he sends a bunch of subcontractors and he's not even there managing the thing? You know, that's like you sign up to work with a particular coach, and now the coach isn't there, but his assistant's there all the time, you know? So that's not what it's supposed to be, you know? So be careful. Be careful, in my opinion.
You watch this video all the way through, and that tells me you're dedicated to learning more and earning far above average outcomes in your life. Congratulations for that. But now it's time to take action. If you could have earned those results by yourself, you would have done it already. My head coach has opened up a few spots on his high-demand calendar for an in-person, one-on-one strategy session to help you. On this call, we'll give you the pragmatic advice that you can implement tonight to get laser-focused on the right metrics and leave mediocrity far behind in your past. Click that link right now in the description below and apply for your call immediately. Do it now.